Hello and a very warm welcome to ETCIO presents ETStudios Digital Campus Season 3, powered by Digital Connection. I'm your host Divina Lasson, and as AI adoption accelerates across industries, enterprises are facing an exponential rise in data generation and compute demands. But behind every AI breakthrough lies a critical enabler, digital infrastructure. Today we are joined by Anbu Shanmugam, CEO of Digital Connection, along with Thangarathnam, Senior Director, Mobility and Platforms Uber, to explore how enterprises can bridge their AI ambition with operational readiness and why the future-proofing infrastructure is now a strategic imperative. Without further ado, let's get started. All right, gentlemen, a very warm welcome to ETStudios. Thank you so much for being here today. Truly a pleasure to host both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, just to kickstart, gentlemen, we're of course talking about the impact of AI across sectors, across industries. It's clearly a business imperative, right? I think that's very clear. It's no longer an if or but, it's a business imperative. From each of your vantage points, how do you see AI really reshaping and being at the center of the digital transformation today? And how should industries or organizations approach this transformation ultimately? Anbu, would you like to kickstart the conversation?
Right. AI being the buzzword, entire industry, if you take the India, they are keenly looking at what is happening in US. Yes. Of course, starting with, the chat GPT. And we are quick learners. We always look for the value in, implementing all these solutions, whatever new technology comes in. India being unique, led by system integrators, ITs industries, big, IT companies coming in. So obviously the industry verticals like banking, insurance, hospitality, and all healthcare, these are all keenly looking at. So few started with some piloting. So it's the right moment we are in that, from piloting to getting into a scale very soon that we are looking at maybe in a couple of years time. So it will be completely on AI driven on top of it. So plenty of value we can see as we see from the Western market coming into India.
Okay.
So that's what I would look at.
Sure, it's exciting times. Yeah. And Manikandan, same question for you. And how do you really see the aspect of transformation within each organization taking place with AI as the enabler?
Yeah. See, from Uber's context, AI is not new. In fact, a lot of companies have been leveraging AI even for the last few years, right? Data has always been there. They were building a lot of ML and AI models on top of that, right? What has changed very recently is they were doing a lot of stuff on structured data. Now you can do that on an unstructured data. That's one, right? For you to build some good ML models and AI technology and then present it to customers, it needs a lot of development power. You need to have really good developers. You need to have a good team around it to really see the value out of it. Now that has been made it simple, right? So once you make it simple, every company can start leveraging the power of that. This is similar to what we have seen in the cloud, right? Earlier, just storing a petabyte of data in your data store is so hard. The moment cloud came into picture, now any company can store. Today, nobody worries about compute. Nobody worries about storage, right? I think that will be the same stage for all the companies. Now everybody is exposed to AI, right? Now it's question about where are you leveraging AI, right? So in Uber's context, we have been using AI throughout the app, right? So the good part about AI is consumers doesn't need to know that we are actually using AI, right? Our entire matching algorithm leverages AI a lot to figure out who should I match you to, right? We have like 8 to 10 drivers around you. Who will be the best match, right? Our entire route, which route you should take to go from A to B. That's a lot of our whole pricing algorithm. There's a lot of us, right? So now it has been made simple. Because of that, what happens is a lot of scenarios which are very hard to do it's now being easy to do, right? That means a lot more new set of use cases are going to be exposed to customers, which makes it super compelling for all the product companies.
Absolutely. What would you say is some of the kind of check marks along the way that organizations should look at when it comes to each organization really understanding where the technology is going to help them ultimately? Because as you said, there's such a vast array of use cases. How can companies sort of streamline and focus and really understand how it's going to impact them the most?
So broadly, there are 3 areas, okay? One is around developer productivity. Every company has technological engineers, right? How can engineers leverage AI and become more productive, right? Because that has always been the long pole for any tech company, right? Any feature you want to do, people will be like, I need more headcount. Then as a CIO, you need to go for funding, right? That's been a blocker, right? Now, the same set of developers can do 3x the amount of features, right? So that means the productivity of the company can go multifold, right? So that's the first transformation that comes from the top, right? So as CTOs and CIOs, you need to be super immersed on how I can leverage AI to increase the productivity of developers. There are already really good tools out there, so we can directly use that. The second place is usually the customer support, right? So you have a lot of agents, manual agents sitting and then answering customer queries. Can we leverage AI to automate it 80% so that only the final step goes to the actual agent? Or can we even resolve it 100% without even going to the agent? That is one space where I felt a lot of companies really made some good progress, right? Have they done it in a cost efficient manner or not is a question, but I'm sure they will learn and they can optimize. But that's a space where we already seen some inputs. Today, most of the calls that you get in your phone or most of the research that you do for customer contacts, you yourself know as a customer that it's not being responded on the other end, it's not a human talking to you, right? So that's very obvious. So that's a change where we have already matured to 80-90%. The third phase is what is leveraging AI to introduce product features, which I spoke about in the first thing, right? Where as a user, you may not even know, right? A good example is if you today everything is your mobile app, right? The biggest problem in mobile app is it's a very small screen. What you show matters a lot, right? And if you take an app like Uber, it's a high intentful app. So what I mean by high intent app is people are not going to spend 20 minutes just browsing, right? It's not like a Zomato or a Amazon where you can keep browsing for 20 minutes, understand, at the end you may not even do a transaction. In Uber, it's the other way around. When you open the app, you actually know that I want to go from A to B, I need a car. Actually, I don't want to spend a lot of time in the app, just get me the car, right? So when you are on a high intentful app, showing the right things in the small screen is extremely important, right? For example, when it is raining, showing a moto option at the top doesn't make sense at all, right? Same way, if he is a customer who is always going to use premier product, there is no point in showing auto at the top because we have only 3 slots to show what is the thing. People very rarely scroll down to see what are the other options, right? So figuring out ML and AI model to use it and give the right recommendation. In addition to that, in Uber, the complexity is real time. Yes, I know that you are always going to use this product. I know this customer is always using Moto, but the real-time scenario is currently it's raining. So amalgamation of AI results plus real-time results make it complex and then you show it really mixed. So identifying these kind of use cases and portraying the right solution as product features is the third bucket. That is a space where I think a lot of companies are still in early stages, but there's a lot of scope. So as a consumer, I'm very excited that a lot more new scenarios will be unlocked, right? Where I can use a lot of new things.
Absolutely. Right. Truly sounds like an enabler of hyper personalization ultimately, right? Such a fundamental issue in the whole customer experience process and journey. So yeah, very exciting, wonderful. Anbu, let's get you in on this.
Right. If you add on to him, he gets into a future, right? Today we are seeing it as a premium future for this, we are upgrading ourselves in terms of user experience, as he starts from there, user experience.
Yeah.
So over a period of time, it all becomes fundamental. It becomes basic. That is where, there are two challenges into it. One,
Yes.
as we take the industry, some of the data, many of the companies, if we take about 54% of the companies, have the data fragmented
Yes.
and they have their internal challenge of, consolidating in one place and using the power of AI. So that is one on this user experience front. So which is really, adapting faster that, it becomes a standard over a period of time. So that is one, that challenge we will be looking at. Coming into our area, that is into the solutions in terms of infrastructure and the latencies, how quickly we respond, how scalable our infrastructure is, that is where digital connection comes in terms of the providing data center space
Yeah.
and the network connectivity for AI workloads, which are all, as traditional workload is like, today is 10 kilowatt, we call it as, or 50 kilowatt, we call it as. AI comes in like this, it goes for a burst of 150 kilowatt a moment. So whatever, the workload is coming in, it has to be processed in such a way that, it is stability is always maintained and availability is always shown. So this is where we are coming in terms of power and cooling into it and the network latency. So these are all the prime factors which is not seen by the customer as part of experience.
Yes.
But no, the infrastructure and the kind of investment getting in, technology coming in to solve for India is phenomenal. So we are well poised to capitalize on it. So whatever the customer experience, Indian customer experience, we are going to see over a period of time. So that is going to be fully front-ended by us, kind of data center operators. That I can very clearly see that is the obvious time.
Very exciting. And also from your vantage point, of course, working with a cross section of industries, locations, what would you say are some of the main, maybe the top 2 or top 3 stumbling blocks that organizations are facing? Because there's such a rush now, right, for AI adoption, almost blindly in some cases. So
Everybody is looking at the user experience, right? The finding a value out of it, as Mani rightly said, that we'll be scaling up the user experience. What we are precisely looking for, not to beat around the bush, right points you get it. So one is on the user front. So second is on that the application front, how it is going to be managed, how it is going to be centralized to use that power of AI. So that is one. Second is on the infrastructure front, the location agnostic, how it is going to be, and how we are going to aggregate the uploads
yes.
for a mass benefit, industry benefit.
Yes.
How quickly we are going to take the learnings to across industries, across companies. So this is going to be a very particular point, inflection point we are into. So the scalability is going to happen very soon across as we get the GPUs into Indian market. Today we are seeing that there is constraint of GPUs coming into India. As it gets in, it will be into a great scale and it will be impacting the billions of people into
Yes, absolutely. And clearly, as of course, most discussions are centric around, is that data is really the bedrock of your AI strategy ultimately. Mani, any examples here of how a good data strategy is really paving the way for the future and really giving that blueprint, that roadmap of where you're taking your strategies?
See, as you know, as I said, earlier data needs to be more structured. Now unstructured data is also playing a huge role, right? But the question is, how are we leveraging and what kind of data are we giving for training for AI to make the right decisions is extremely, extremely important. Since we have focused a lot on customer facing features, I will give you a little bit a different view on developers' productivity increase using AI, where we are feeding in data. In this case, the data is nothing but the code base, right? Every company has a huge code base. Today, there are a lot of good tools. Like for one of the tools that we are using is Cursor.ai, where you can inject your entire code base. We have 6,000 engineers. 6,000 engineers are writing code. So all the code base has been injected now, right? Now with that data, right, that tool is able to recommend, it's able to help us, come up with new features faster. It's able to debug issues faster. Issues which would have taken weeks for us to debug, we were able to debug it much faster. Issues where we found it extremely difficult to repro. Customer will say, yeah, it's not working. But it will be so hard. That's a traditional problem on any tech company. So it will be so hard to replicate that on our side. And there's been back and forth to figure out, and customer gets frustrated that, I have been facing this issue for 2 weeks, but the company is not able to solve. Those kind of issues, AI tools are now able to say that, hey, for this customer ID, whatever is the call stack that happened in the last 2 days, can you rerun and replicate the issue? And it is able to replicate the issue. So that is the power of data that we have. In this case, code is the data. I can give a similar examples of other use cases where we have injected data and come up with really good use case. Like for one example is, we are working on something called Uber Bus, right? See, if you look at India, the biggest problem is traffic, right? I don't know whether you are from Bangalore, right? In the moment you say Bangalore, everybody will be like, oh, traffic, right? So the only way to solve traffic is put more people on lesser number of vehicles, right? So the obvious thing is, so we came up with something called high capacity vehicles, right? And bus falls under that high capacity vehicles. The obvious is, why don't Uber run a bus ecosystem? But it's not very easy to run a profitable bus ecosystem because there are a lot of parameters that comes into place. Hiring a bus is very costly. How do you ensure the utilization of the bus is much higher? How do you ensure that utilization of drivers is much higher? Your pricing of ticket needs to be lower because the segment you are targeting is different. where should you place your bus stops? If you keep it too far away, customers are not going to book. If you keep it too close, then people, then if you are sitting in your bus, you get frustrated, right? At what speed the driver should drive the bus so that bus reaches on time, right? So there are so many technological problems. The biggest advantage that Uber had was we were running, Uber taxis and Uber cabs in all these places. So we exactly know what are the points where there's, maximum number of pickup, where is the maximum number of drop off, which is the most traffic. So we leverage that data to come up with a good route map logic for what should be the bus ecosystem, in which routes we should run the bus, right? That is helping us in a technological fashion. You solve the problem. That way you are able to, this is a great example of how we leverage data to solve a very complex problem so that you can give an affordable ride, more predictable ride, and a safer ride, and a cheaper, right? So this is the power of data. And once you have these kind of data in a large form, with AI, solving these things become much simpler, right? And that's why we have launched this in Delhi. Now we are launching in other metro cities, and we are seeing really good adoption, right? And that's a great way not only for the customers, it's also for the city, so that we can reduce traffic and people can move faster.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing this example, and yeah, so excited to see this roll out in other parts of the country. So, looking forward to that. Really excellent. Anbu, yeah, so now after all these discussions, we're hearing some excellent case studies here. We've discussed the challenges basically. What are some of the most exciting, you would say, infrastructure developments in this space? How is it going to impact the next coming years of AI implementation?
Right, picking from money's point of view, that if you take that least cost routing, or the customer benefit, nobody doubts it. It's everybody acknowledges there is a huge benefit we are going to derive out of the AI implementation. So that is one. Second, the industry, what we are looking at is bottom of it is the GIS, right? That is also going to have a great value to the entire ecosystem, that we could see that. So these are all the bottom rocks, solving this, the customer issues straight away. But there are plenty of unseen areas of the research, and high science areas, and other than that, healthcare. So the benefit what we are seeing today, everybody, all the CIOs able to recognize is phenomenal. So that is done, the recognition of the out of the AI deployment, GPU deployments, that has been done. So now comes into the next stage, that is scaling up, implementing into the real world scenarios and scaling up for the most benefit. So this is where the infrastructure bottlenecks are coming in terms of making the network really if assume that in Bangalore has got these many autonomous vehicles, what should be the network bandwidth, and what should be the backend data analysis, how fast it should be, that decision making, all those things. This is infrastructure close to that workloads. So that is going to be the one of the decision factors. So the investment into the infrastructures, in terms of the data centers and network, it is going to scale up 5 to 10 times. So in the next 5 years, India today we are operating at 1 gigawatt of capacity of data centers. We are seeing in 2030 it is going to be 5 gigawatt. So pipeline is available. So that is going to be greatly support this ecosystem what money is talking. So these are all the phenomenal things we are seeing over a period of time. So we are in a right place and right time to see this change happening.
Absolutely.
These sort of developments. Great. Yeah.
But what comes to mind as you describe the scale up that we are expecting to see and go through very much in present time is of course AI's compute footprint is also going to increase exponentially. Right? Just some thoughts from both of you about the sustainability and ESG aspect as well. Are there any go-to steps or go-to parameters that organizations must look at to keep in check the sustainability and the footprint ultimately that's going to be a result of all this expansion in the space of AI? Just any thoughts that either of you have?
I think my take on that is technology will fast grow their requirements and dependencies on AI. So what I mean by that is a lot of companies are now amazed by what kind of problems AI can solve. Most of them are still in the POC stage where they are like, hey, I can use AI to solve this, right? It's not been rolled out in a very large production system because the accuracy cannot, most of the companies, the reliability is 100%. Your margin for error is zero, right? When your margin for error is zero, you have to be like super careful. right? At what point you transition from AI decisions to human-driven decisions or human-led decisions. So there's you need to put human in the loop to get to that 100%, right? So that is the place where a lot of people are on, right? And I think we may take 3 months, 6 months to solve. But during the course of time, what I also see is even in the last 6 months to 12 months, we have already seen, the reduction in compute power for models, the reduction in storage for models, right? So I do see that will always go down. Cost will go down. Compute requirements will go down. Storage requirements will go down. That will go down on one end. On this end, people will be like, how do I increase reliability, right? How do I create this hybrid thing? That will meet, right? I don't see this whole, cost or compute or power being a limiting factor for people to adopt, right? When both of these things merge, it will be at a midpoint. And I do expect this thing to continuously go down, right? When cloud came, the cost of, you having a compute on the cloud or a storage of, 1 terabyte on a cloud was much higher than what it is today. Today it's like 1/10 or even 1/50th of the cost of one. That will be the same change that you see. In fact, I expect that trend to be much more faster on AI, but within an year or so, the cost, compute and storage is going to be so low that it can even run on endpoints, not only on servers, right? That's the direction in which people are going.
Fascinating. So it's inversely proportional, actually. That's the point. Okay.
Adding to the sustainability, so for a data center, the benefit of aggregation is on the sustainability. We design the data center based on that strong fundamental of sustainability. Beyond that, nothing.
Yes.
So whatever we look at, so power or cooling or the network deployments, the first fundamental is the sustainability. Yes. We look at. So the green power, the extending 100% of green power for a data centers. So this is our fundamental design basics and operating basics to serve the workloads. And as we get into a scaling up plan, so sustainability is will be passed on to everybody, to the customer, as he says that the cost of compute is coming down in terms of the usage of that GPUs, CPUs. That is one. Second, on to the how the infrastructure is scaling up.
Yes.
In a sustainable manner.
Yes.
So we are forefront to it, and we adapt the technologies, whatever happening throughout the world, instead of what, we brought in the chiller first time to India, like maglev chillers. You see the trains running on magnetic technology. The first time we brought into India, so magnetic chillers, that gives the highest efficiency to serve the output of the GPUs.
Yeah.
So obviously we will be the front runner to adapt all sort of technologies to serve the population, in very efficient, very reliable manner.
Excellent. Very positive outlook there. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Before we wrap up, is there any one key piece of advice that you'd like to leave our CIOs with, all the viewers we have today, with when it comes to helping them in their journey, in their process of really implementing AI as a backbone of their back-end infrastructure ultimately? So key piece of advice for all our viewers. Mani, would you like to?
Let's identify the right set of problems. We don't need to be in a FOMO world where we'll use AI to solve everything, right? We should figure out for which problem we have to leverage AI, right? The second thing is, at the end of the day, it's the developers in your company who is going to determine how and where you are going to leverage. So let's empower our developers to use the right set of tools and skill them and train them with the right set of things so that the technology is used in the right way, right? Once things are done in the right way, cost, efficiency, everything improves. So my message to all the viewers and CIOs is be very hands-on. Go to the level of details, right? One is sitting at a high level and giving a strategy saying let's leverage AI to do this is one. How do we do it? Which scenario we need to do it? Why do we need AI for this scenario? Can this be solved in this alternate way? What LLMs are we going to use? Can that, right? What is the cost structure? How many server calls are we making? Can we do something on the local side? If you have that level of engaging discussions, the output that you will see will be much more beneficial than the inputs that we are given on the tools like AI, costing and bunch of other things, right? So that is my message. If we do that, I think overall as a company and also, as a technological thing in India, everybody will have the right level of depth and knowledge to use AI in the right fashion to solve the right set of problems.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Anbu?
Yeah, what about my interactions with the CIOs, so they are far ahead of curve. So always the Indian counterparts are much, stronger in their views, and they have adequate better than whatever required what is happening across the world. They have got right set of principles and strategies in place. I am sure that they will be, whenever they are going for an implementation in a scale, they will be much superior than their global counterparts, and they will be reaping higher benefits what the other part of the world is seeing. So that very clearly appears
Okay.
completely positive. Yes.
Excellent.
Right.
India really leading the way forward
Right.
on a global scale.
So actually the knowledge takes the first step, then the implementation follows.
Of course.
Right.
Step by step. Yeah. Wonderful, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here on ET Studio. Such a pleasure to have you. Thank you for sharing all your insights, all the examples,
Yeah.
real life case studies. Extremely helpful for our viewers. So thank you. It's truly been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.